Hello and welcome to Ethan's Garage. Today we have a very exciting video, both for me just personally and the channel. This here is my first time to Asia. We're currently in, don't mind me if I pronounce these things wrong, but Hsinchu, Taiwan, about an hour roughly south of Taipei. And we're gonna do some car spotting. So let's dive in. This here is the heart of Hsinchu. That's the main government building. And then right here we have the central police station. This is my first time getting to look up close at Taiwanese cop cars. Interestingly, although there's a pretty big variety here, tons of Ford SUVs, just like in America. Different types, but still doing a lot of Ford. So in addition to the police station right here, we have a small little fire station. I think the whole thing is a firehouse with, of course, European fire trucks, and even a Ford Ranger fire truck. I think it's more of like a chief car or something like that. So something I was obviously expecting to see here, but is always kind of interesting to see in person. This big thing with Asia is just the number of bikes, mopeds, scooters, really scooters being the main thing. But every single place you go, there is just insane numbers of scooters. And there's entire scooter parking lots some places, which I'll show you guys. But all different types here for sure. Here's a solid car, M3 wagon. Love the sound of that. But here we go with some dog swatting. Look at that little cute dog. So right to the right of me here is a good example of the heavy scooter culture here. There is just scooter parking everywhere, and this whole street's actually also pretty interesting. From what I've seen, I don't know the exact number, but I think Taiwan has extremely high tariffs on imported vehicles. So I'm going to try to walk over now to some of the slightly more car-heavy areas so I can show you guys some of the car stuff here. Because honestly, most of the scooters are a little hard to spot. A lot of this Sim brand, I'm not really sure anything about that. Possibly domestically made though. So I just turned down this little side street to go take a look at that car right there. But first, something that really shocked me about Taiwan is the prevalence of Skoda. I was not expecting that at all. But this thing right here, this is a Nissan something. I'm thinking, I don't know much about the exact history of this, but in the 90s there was a big thing of retro style Japanese cars. And I'm pretty sure that's what this thing is right here. So funky looking. If I had to guess, it's probably a Nissan Micra at baseline and then turned into the Verita. Actually, Verita might be the importer. But this is, I think, from the same class of vehicles as things like the Nissan Figaro, the very funny little microcar type thing. That is so cool. So I've noticed so far quite a few of these older, like late 90s Tercels here, which is not too surprising. They're very good, cheap cars. And also a lot of Ford Focuses, and actually a lot of Fords in general. Got a Prius here, pretty standard, but I'm pretty sure this one's lifted a little bit. I wonder if that's a customer of Prius Off-Road, one of the coolest little modding companies out there, which you should definitely check out if you have a Prius. We have here a Ford Escape, but like many other markets, has a totally different front end on it. And a bit of a mild wide body on it as well. Huh. Teslas are fairly common here so far from what I've seen. I think part of that might be because of the fact that they do make a lot of the Tesla parts here. This is kind of interesting. I always love seeing the different names for things. The Nissan Versa here is the Nissan Taida. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Also has the side blinkers, which is pretty standard in other markets. So something here so far in Taiwan that definitely very much differentiates it from Europe. Not to say this doesn't exist at all in Europe, but air conditioning. Europeans do not seem to believe in air conditioning. It sort of exists some places, but boy is it sparse. Whereas here, pretty much every single building and shop has tons of air conditioner, which is very nice given how insanely hot and humid it is here. Looks like I found another car park, so let's see what we got here. This is great. It's a Mitsubishi Space Gear, which they really like the space names. I know the Mitsubishi Mirage of the US is actually the Space Star overseas. And here's another Ford Escape, but this one has a totally different front end. So this here is a brand that I'm totally unfamiliar with, LuxGen. I gotta look this up, and I'm kind of thinking this might be an actual Taiwanese brand. That, or it's a rebadging of some other brand elsewhere. I got the Hyundai Venue right here. A pretty nice little mini crossover. So it's kind of funny here. One of the things that's kind of weird is because of how big Asian automakers have become for really everywhere. I was going to say the US, but really it's everywhere. It's actually kind of surprising how normal a lot of the cars here seem in some regard. A lot of the names are different, and there are definitely some unique models here. Some of them are unique to Europe and here. Some of them are unique to here. Like I saw for the first time a Toyota Wish, which is a car that I looked up recently and actually found. I forget what I was looking up to find that, but I'll point one of those out when I see one. This is a brand you don't see out of the US too much, Infiniti. Mainly a US oriented brand. I think I saw a couple in, I think it was Croatia or something. So this here's pretty funny. We got people doing the German plate thing even on their Taiwanese plates, just like in America. So since I've already mentioned that it's pretty toasty here, I should mention that it is 91 degrees right now, and I'm not sure the humidity, but I think 80–90%. Thankfully we're near the coast, so it's semi-windy. So a bit of a trend I've also seen here with Taiwanese cars is a lot of them are white, which would be pretty logical given how hot it is. And actually the rental car place where we just picked up our car, every single car was white, which I thought was kind of funny. And there we go, another Skoda already. And it's always interesting, they do have a lot of the same models, but all with different names, or different looks. So I was noticing here that, you know, just like in the US, they have the Prius C. But the thing that I thought was kind of crazy is they actually call it the Prius C, because from my understanding, most of the other markets called it the Toyota Aquis, at least in Japan, I thought China too. And here's a Corolla Cross, which is exactly identical to the one I rented. So hopefully I'll do a review on that soon. So this has actually, to me, been one of the most interesting cars I've seen everywhere here. The Toyota Sienta. It's kind of like a little MPV. It actually reminds me of the Toyota Yaris, what's it called? But the van version of it, of basically the van version of the Echo. But the thing that I think is so fascinating is the front end of it looks like it's taken straight from the Prius C. It's remarkably similar looking. But these little baby MPVs are a very practical, nice packaging for sure. And like I said, the Toyota Sientas really are everywhere here. The architecture here in Taiwan is very noticeably unique. I think this is somewhat of an all of Asia thing, but you can see how so many of them are what appears to be all cement build at their core, but have these tile exteriors, which is pretty fascinating. Definitely kind of makes sense given the rain and humidity here. This thing is also kind of interesting. I thought it said the Suzuki Solid, but I think it's actually Solio, which is a little less cool of a name than I was hoping it would be. Of course, GLB. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a 3-row one here. I think this might be the first AMG I've seen, although this is not much of an AMG. These GLC 43s are, I don't personally think deserve the AMG name, but nonetheless, it's kind of cool to see it here. I'm sure it's, once again, insanely expensive with the tariffs here. I don't know what this thing is, but this has got to be one of the coolest things I've seen so far. This is fantastic. Little Volkswagen Ute. I know they used to do the kind of Golf or Rabbit Utes, but this is something totally different. Is it manual? Yeah, it's manual with a pretty legit bed. Volkswagen Pointer. I love that. There's actually a bunch of interesting stuff here. We got right there a Mercedes CL. Got a lot of standard Mazda type stuff. Honda. This here is a Daihatsu. I should know the name of it, but I'm actually forgetting the name of it. But these little mini SUVs are very nice. And we even have a Volkswagen Amarok, the new Volkswagen pickup truck. Got a Porsche Boxster. It's so funny to me, no matter where I go, I cannot escape these minivans. Got a nice S-Class, seen a few of these so far. Got the Mazda Millennial, which is kind of cool. I have no idea what that thing is. And then we got an old Cadillac Coupe de Ville or Seville or something like that. And a Nissan Braham. Yeah, but what is that thing? If you guys know, let me know in the comments. That thing is very funky. As you can see, many more white cars out here. And lots of Toyotas. So this museum here looks pretty cool and noteworthy. Check out all the murals on here. And the little fighter planes. You even got a, is that a Toyota Altezza? I believe it is. Would be Lexus in the US. But this here is the Hsinchu City Military Dependence Village Museum. Very obscure, but very cool. We got right here the fuel tank for the F-104 Starfighter, pictured right there. So cool. I also noticed here with a bunch of these bikes and mopeds, some of them randomly have these green plates, which my first guesses were maybe it's for old people or young people to identify that that's a different class of driver, or I don't think it's electric. Actually, maybe it is electric. I don't know what it is. No, that looks like air-cooled. Maybe it's like below 50 cc's or something. And there we got a very nice, what is it, Yamaha? Like everywhere, they do have a decent number of Porsches here, including lots of Macans and Cayennes. Lots of very bustling big intersections here. With a very fun crossing guy. This funny little gate he has. Alright, I think I just found some of the fanciest cars so far. Nothing too crazy, but we got a Maserati Quattroporte GTS, which I think is the one with the V8. But don't quote me on it. And then we have a 718 Cayman GTS, which is my favorite version of the Cayman, well, except for like the GT4 and stuff. As you can see here, the scooter prevalence continues. We have an entire scooter dealer. Must be a good business to have here. Check that out, the guy's using a two-wheeler as a trailer here on a scooter. So this here is another interesting thing. We've got the police scooters. Pretty low budget, but I guess technically functional. This here is pretty nice. Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio with some very nice wheels. Nice. This here's another brand I was not expecting to see in Taiwan. Opel. It's an Opel Zafira. A very of the 2000s GM boxiness. Unsurprisingly, luxury vans are quite popular here, like the LM500, the Lexus minivan, which would be so cool if they brought this to the US. Looks like we found another Maserati. Got the new Maserati Grecale right there, which is a pretty nice car. I've driven a couple of them and they're nice. Not too bad. So looks like we got one more AMG here. Got the AMG GT Coupe. It's the GT43 too, which means I think this is, what is it, the V6? Once again, not the most AMG of the AMGs, but still cool to see. And must once again cost an absolute fortune here. And a nice Porsche Cayenne. Right here we have another Skoda with the 3 stripes on the grille, which is kind of funny. And a Subaru with, once again, they've been doing a lot of these like plate surround things here, which is kind of unique. Alright, well I am totally boiling here, so I think it's probably time to go back to the car and cool down once and for all. But stay tuned for some more Taiwan videos. There's going to be a bunch of fun ones coming out. But I will see you all in the next one. Check that out. Lamborghini Urus in light pink. This thing's probably like $500,000 here.